This is our Week 5 edition of TNT, Collision Football's Thursday Night Tailgate. Thanks for joining us. Guys, hard to believe we're going into Week 5 right now. Here we are, and after next week, half the season's done already. So we got a lot to go over. First thing we're doing, we're going to kind of recap Week 4's action. As we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about where each team's at after 4 games. So as usual, we have one team playing out of league. Past week, it was Jim Thorpe heading up to Tri-Valley. We talked about this game last week. We said, it's a long bus ride, and, we thought Thorpe would take care of business, but, there's a chance it was going to be a dogfight, and that's certainly what it turned out to be. But Thorpe was able to grind out. Big win on the road, stay undefeated. Jim Thorpe wins the game at Tri-Valley, 20-14.
Yeah, like you said, Jim Thorpe out of league. They do that long ride. We ever had the long bus ride. You never know how it's going to work out for you. But they did play fairly well. They had 2 touchdowns called back for holding penalties. Some other miscues, a block punt led to a safety, and so they had some hiccups. But so when you're on the road like that, you expect that to happen now, here and there. But overall, they got it out. It's tough to go on the road and get a win there. 303 rushing yards for the Olympians, 116 by Heller. Carroll 90 yards rushing, also caught a touchdown pass, and he's been putting up some pretty good numbers. So overall, good road win for Jim Thorpe out of league. Keep the momentum going.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. We thought it was going to be a little tough. It's a tough place to play. I don't know if any of you out there have been ever at the Tri-Valley, but it's a tough place to play. It's usually a little colder up there than anywhere else, and it is. And like
I haven't been up to Higgins since the pigeon shoot.
Yeah.
It's been a bit.
Yeah, but they graded out a win. Jim Thorpe's kind of living dangerously the next couple of weeks, and they have another tough road game this week. We'll talk about that later. But all that matters is it doesn't matter. How you win, just as long as you win. Especially in the dog days of the fall here. So, another win by Jim Thorpe. They're 4-0, and once again ranked 7th to start the year, and they're undefeated. And the only other undefeated team is North Schuylkill. So, kudos to Jim Thorpe again for getting off to a good start.
Yeah, so Thorpe, the defending AFL champs, so obviously they're undefeated, and they're looking to make a push. Tough schedule coming up. But, Thorpe, you got to think at this point their goal is compete for the AFL championship and get in the districts and make some noise. Mm-hmm. So Thorpe keeps it rolling 4-0 after 4 weeks. Moving on, we got Monty area squeaks out a win against Minersville, 21-20. A very interesting game. Minersville the last couple of weeks, they've been showing some life. Against Marion, I believe it was 34-12, I think was that final. But they moved the ball. And, they got some kids who are starting to make some plays, and, almost came away with their first win. A very exciting game. Monty's able to sneak out to win 21-20.
Yeah, Mason Ryan, Mason Evans, once again, the Mason and Mason show for Monty. And also Minersville 3 turnovers. That's kind of what, sealed the loss for them. It was interesting. I read something interesting that Coach Pat Mason said they went back to, their old school traditional style of pounding the football. He said it actually, that's what worked for him. So I said last week, Minersville had to find an identity and stick with that identity. It looks like they have that identity. That's what they're going to stick with the rest of the year, because that's what Coach Mason thinks gives them the best chance to win. So Mono got another squeaked out a win. Minersville maybe playing well going in that Shenandoah game too. This week. So what it comes down to me for this Minersville team is they need to get up early on somebody. I think they need to maybe get a lead. Get a lead and then feel a little confident, and then maybe move on. Maybe that's how they're going to get their first win. But give it to Mono. They're 3-1. I don't think many people expected them to be at this point either.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we said, Minersville, their biggest thing right now is just to learn how to compete and stay in ball games. They did that this past week. They have one coming up that they can go in there and do the same thing again and maybe get their first win of the season. So they're moving in the right direction. That's all I can ask for.
Definitely, and we talked in the past about McBreen and Dylan Stephen making some plays in the passing game. This week, Schultz and Heffron did a good job in the backfield running the ball. So kudos to them. And Monte area, like you said, you got the Mason show. They got some linemen that are doing a very good job that we talked about a little last week. And now they're playing without Richmond, so obviously that's a hurdle they have to overcome. And
exactly.
They get out there with the win, so like any win's a good win right now. Football there's only 10 games, so any win's a good win, and they sneak out the 21-20 win over Minersville. Next in Lansford we had Panther Valley over Shenandoah 33-21. This was a game. This was the one that I got to see, and it got very interesting. P jumped out 20-0 right before half, turnover. Shenandoah drives, scores a touchdown before the half. Second half again, some miscues by Panther Valley keep Shenandoah hanging around, but in the end, some big defensive plays by the Panthers and allows them to pull out the win. And with that, congratulations to Coach Davis on the first win of his coaching career, hopefully the first of many. So Panther Valley beat Shenandoah 33-21.
Yeah, and what a fitting way for Coach Davis to get his first win. He is known as a defensive mind. You know, he's a defensive coordinator for a few years at Panther Valley.
Kid genius.
Kid genius. So to get 2 defensive touchdowns to kind of seal that up for him, a great way for him to get his win. And a nice job by Matthew Dickett making his first start at quarterback. Led the team very nicely, both rushing and passing the ball. So we'll talk a little bit more about him later. But great first win for the Panthers.
I was actually talking to Coach Davis today because Matthew Dickett was our Times News Player of the Week, and he basically what I asked him was, it was nice to see you. You went out to the 20-point lead, but then you had some adversity, and you didn't falter like you had Pat in the past games this year, in the previous games. You made big plays. You made those 2 big defensive plays to seal the game, and your kids learned how to win, and that's key. No matter who you're playing, they had adversity. They had some things not go their way. They didn't put their heads down. They made the plays in order to win the game, big plays, and they sealed the win. And that's when you have a young team and an experienced team. That's one of the first things you have to teach them. So, it looks like they're heading in the right direction.
Absolutely. And, a couple guys that we haven't mentioned yet from the Panthers. We talked about some of the guys already, but Kyle Emmert is the one that had a big scoop and score, 71-yard score off a fumble recovery. I believe they're calling him the water boy right now. He looked pretty fast. Scooping
Bobby
up that
Boucher
fumble.
like.
Yes, Bobby Boucher like scoop and score for Kyle Emmert, and Suvig, Jacob Suvig. Did a nice job sealing up at the end with an interception that he returned for a score. On the Shenandoah side, I know we mentioned the guy almost weekly, but Ian McCall. This is the first time I got to see him live since last year. But boy, what a tough kid. Tough kid. Took a ton of hits. I mean, he's throwing the ball a ton. He's out there trying to make some plays. Really took a lot of hits. Gets up every time. I was really impressed by the grit and the moxie he showed, and keeping Chendo in that game with a chance to make some things happen at the end. But again, big win for Panther Valley. They come out on top, 33-21, getting their first win of the season. Next, a game that we were really anticipating, Tamaqua and Schuylkill Haven. We thought this was going to be nip and tuck. Thought it was going to be a physical game, and we think it was both. Tamaqua ends up coming out on top, beating Schuylkill Haven 26-23. Scripco, Moyer, some big games. Tamaqua, this is a win they really needed.
Yeah, as I said, a physical game, Pat, and also an emotional game for the Raiders because they with the passing of their assistant coach Dave Malkin the week before. I know a lot of the guys and a lot of the players and the staff were at the services on Wednesday night. The Malkin family greatly appreciated that, so they went in there with the heavy heart. They had the heartbreaking loss last week, in overtime to Jim Thorpe, and so they went in with a purpose to Schuylkill Haven and played a great game and pulled out the victory in overtime. Like you said, Tyler Scripco, three rushing touchdowns. Bud Mueller, after being held in check against Jim Thorpe, went off again for over 150 yards. So they found their rushing attack again and just grinded out a good win for the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean Schuylkill Haven kind of looked like they were going to win that game too. And Tamaqua had those 2 defensive stops they needed to win it. So Tamaqua was winning the way they've always won. Good running game, strong defense. It's just the way they've always won. They could easily be 3-1. Right now.
I mean, you can't. We talked about last week. You can't sleep on Tamaqua because they were 1-2 coming into this game. North School. We said North Schuylkill did to Tamaqua what North Schuylkill was going to do to a lot of teams. Maybe every team on their schedule. We'll get to them a little later, with the exception of maybe Mount Carmel. But Tamaqua, they lost their quarterback the first game of the season. Had to make some adjustments, get a couple big wins, and here they are sitting at 2-2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they just bounced back. and they're always going to play tough. Even when they don't have the usual skill guys we talked about. They don't have the Nunamaker. They don't have the Tyler Hope. They don't have the Vander Martin kid. But, yeah, they don't. But they have the Scripco brothers. And those kids on defense are great leaders. Then they have kids like Moyer, who's developing into one of the best running backs in the league right now. So he's one of those kids that can take 30, 40 carries and like nothing. So, Tamaqua just doing it like they always have.
Schuylkill Haven, we'll talk a little bit more about where people fall in the rankings a little later.
Yeah.
But, we said last week, Schuylkill Haven, as long as they get rolling by the end of the year and then you see what happens once playoff rolls around, well, now they drop to 5th place in the district rankings. So their backs are against the wall.
Yeah, it looks like they're mixing some things up a little bit now. Lozada, quarterback, looked like he threw the ball more. Fink did come back, ran 18 times, I think, for 100 yards. We didn't see the game, so I don't know if most of those came as a quarterback position or if he was used in the backfield or how they're mixing that.
I know
around
split
now.
time. I know that.
Yeah, but I did see that Lozado did more of the
Yeah.
passing and Fink did more of the running. So, so maybe a little two-headed monster there, quarterback for the Hurricanes. They try to work their way through the season.
Another game that we thought was going to be very, very telling to see how things were going to play out in the league standings is Lehighton going up to Blue Mountain. Lehighton coming off that tough loss to North Schuylkill. How are they going to bounce back and then go on the road and play a tough Blue Mountain team? And Lehighton ends up coming out on top 21-14. Very tight game right to the fourth quarter. And this is a huge win for Coach Tom McCarroll and Lehighton.
Yeah, I mean, we thought it was going to be. It was one of those smash mouth games. They had the 2 recovered fumbles in the second half while it was tied, which was huge. And then Can was efficient once again, 8 for 12 passing. And Clemens did his thing, scoring 3 touchdowns. So you had Lehighton just one of those. We knew it was going to be close. We knew it wasn't going to be a blowout, and we knew that both these teams, with the way how physical they are, that was going to be in the trenches. Like you said last week, you thought this game was going to be decided in the trenches. You're exactly right. So Lehighton staying on track, coming out with a big win on the road, like you said, that's a huge win for them, especially in the playoff picture as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this game started out, I covered this one last week, and it started out, it looked like it was going to be a track meet. Lehighton gets their opening possession, marches it down the field. Tom Rosica catches 4 passes in the opening drive. They go up 7-0. Blue Mountain comes right back. Sean Greenwald hits Adam Holt, a 33-yard scoring pass to tie 7-7. Ensuing kickoff, Crum brings it back 88 yards to the 11-yard line. Lehighton punches it right back in. So we weren't even comfortable yet. It's 14-7 Lehighton, and then both defenses just kind of dug in. And once they did, it turned into what we were expecting more of, just a battle. And actually Blue Mountain had a lot of momentum at the end of that game. I really thought they were even kind of wearing Lehighton down a little bit, but twice they just lost the ball on just an exchange handoff, between quarterback and halfback. Lehighton took advantage of the momentum and was able to get the win. But really good football game it was.
Yeah, no, those miscues in a game like that, miscues, and even Coach Mabry in the paper said those miscues and the penalties in a tight game like that really hurts you. We talked about Thorpe before. Thorpe was fortunate with their miscues to get out of Higgins with a win, and for Blue Mountain, unfortunately for them, they weren't able to overcome those. Lehighton seals it up and gets a win, 21-14, big win for them. You mentioned Rosica. I think it was last week I talked about him a little bit. He doesn't always show up in a box score, but he's a tough player.
He recovered one of those big fumbles. Wyatt Clemens recovered another one. But yeah, and that's what I said it so many times on radio. He's just a football player.
Yeah.
He just if you need a go-to guy, you need a play, whether it's offensively or defensively. The kid never comes off the field, and I'm just really impressed with Before the radio show, we talked about the 3-headed monster of Lehighton with Can, Crum, and Clements, and about halfway through, I said we better add a 4th head into that monster because Tom Rosica is a really good football player.
He really seems like a glue guy.
Yeah.
Doing all of those things that maybe go unnoticed. But the fumble recovery is huge, and as you mentioned, the opening drive with the 4 receptions he had on that, and getting down there for the score, big game for him. So next we got our game of the week, North Schuylkill and Marion Catholic. We said North Schuylkill, it's going to be tough not to crack right there. I mean, they got it rolling, and they just kept rolling on Friday night. They beat Marion 47-26. 500 yards of offense for North Schuylkill. I mean, and it was a freight train. It was a freight train, and there was no stopping it.
No, this is another one of those games that started real fast and furious. But overall, like I said, I've gotten to see North Schuylkill in person. I didn't see them this past week, but there's that next tier, I think, and. Marion has, we've been talking about their defense week in and week out and how good they are and how good McCormick is on the end there and stuff. And, to give up 500 yards of offense, they're obviously shocked, and to give up 300 yards to one running back, and we'll get to that later. But just, an outstanding offensive performance by North Schuylkill. Tevin Murray, 7 catches, 100 yards. And,
Like, what do you do?
Yeah,
they're rushing, they're passing. I don't know.
They're the toughest team to defend by far. And in a little in a little change of pace, Tevin Murray played defense this past week and did a nice job of shutting down Mascornik. So that was
A quick sidebar there now. Mascornik, we were talking about him a lot in the beginning of the year. Last 2 games, 1 reception for 13 yards, and obviously we know he's a huge weapon. That tells you the type of job that North Schuylkill did on him this past
and I was
game.
curious how they were going to cover that, and I got to watch the replay of it on TV that night. And when I saw Tevin Murray matched up playing defense, I said, well, I saw North Schuylkill 3 times this year, and Tevin Murray didn't play defense any of those days. So different look for North Schuylkill, and it was very effective for them. But offensively, they're just a machine. They really are good.
Yeah, I was there. I covered it, and Major Jordan didn't play either. We
Yeah, he's without Major Jordan.
Their best linebacker. Shout out to Major Jordan's family, by the way. They were sitting in front of me, and they're awesome people. They're really nice.
She had the cowbell. The
Oh
mom
my
had the cowbell.
God, the cowbell. Funny story. Her husband told me that she's legally definite right here because of how much she rings the cowbell. But Major Jordan, you're a lucky guy. You have a great family.
I met Mom and the cowbell last year.
Exactly.
They are great people.
Great family, but they did all that without him. You know what I mean? And the thing that you watch, and you get caught up watching the skill guys. If you just watch their line for a series, just for one series.
So
if you don't have 2 defensive tackles that are mean, talented, tough guys, you're not going to do anything because they run right up the middle. They don't run at the ends. They run right up the middle. And if they feel like you're going to bring a stun or a blitz, guess what they do? Play action, and they hit a 6'5" guy that can beat any of your D-backs. So I mean, like you said, somebody is going to have to match their physicality on the defensive side. I think Lee Heighton did a good job of that in the second half of their game.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But somebody has to do it for 4 quarters because this team's going to play a full game. They're focused. They're all on the same page. If you got a guy running for over 300 yards, you're going to have a pretty good chance to win every night. So, Marion, I think Marion's still a pretty good team in the Anthracite League, going to do well in single A this year in their district. But North Schuylkill obviously is clicking on all cylinders right now.
I mean, North Schuylkill, you look at their wins. They're 4-0.
Yeah.
Tabaqua, Blue Mountain, Lee Heighton, Marion.
Yeah, how's that for coming out of the chute?
Yeah.
I mean,
And not even being and only being tested once.
really, yes, only being tested
And then
once.
really one half. They did dominate
Right.
that first half and really.
Yeah, 7 out of 8 halves
Yeah.
have been complete domination.
Yeah, exactly.
By North Schuylkill, and coming into it, we talked about it last week. Marion, they had a bunch of skill players there, and they had a bunch of good linemen like Damiano, and they got some real good, nice linemen there, and you wondered if they were the type of team that could hang with North Schuylkill, and North Schuylkill's just they're at another level right now. They really are. We're only 4 games in.
And we look at with Marion, like KJ Star had a huge game.
Yeah, their offense played well.
65
Their offense
yards.
played well. They really did.
Yeah.
They got that spread offense they run I like it a lot. I think they're like I said, they're a dangerous team offensively. They played well. North Schuylkill they scored 26 points.
But
That wasn't 26 garbage
Yeah.
points. It was 26 points
Right.
against their they're good players.
So that's the tough thing about playing North Schuylkill. You feel like you're playing well. You go, hey, we're hanging in there, we're doing, and then you look up at the scoreboard and we're down 3 touchdowns.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I know when I was at Blue Mountain, I felt like the Blue Mountain kids were playing well.
Yeah.
But it's just like a vice. It just keeps squeezing,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you go, oh, we're down 24-0. How did
Yeah.
that happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just very very good. They're tough.
All right, so overall, speaking of North Schuylkill, overall team-wise, I think it goes without saying we all agree that North Schuylkill's right now at a different level than anyone else in the league. Let's take a look at that second tier.
Okay.
Who we looking at that we think is the next say two teams in the league right now?
I'd say I'd say Lee Heighton's right there and Jim Thorpe's right there. I mean, I don't know how you can't. I mean, you could say Jim Thorpe really hasn't played the kind of competition these 2 teams have, but so what? They're 4-0.
Right.
And they won the league last year. And they're
And
coming
they're-
out. And they're coming out, and it seems their defense is better than it was last year. So, they've got to be there, and Lee Heighton's got to be there because Lee Heighton gave them the toughest test. So I'd say those 2 teams right now are the teams that could, it's those 3. North Schuylkill, I would go Lee Heighton, then Jim Thorpe would be my top 3 teams.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would agree. And obviously Jim Thorpe is undefeated, but their biggest test are yet to come.
Yeah.
They finished this season with North Schuylkill,
Blue Mountain,
Lee Heighton. Yeah, I want to show the order. North Schuylkill,
Yeah.
Blue Mountain, Lee Heighton to finish Jim Thorpe's season. So, coaches always say we want to be playing our best football, baseball, basketball, whatever the sport is. You want to be playing your best at the end of the season. Jim Thorpe better be because they have their hands full the last 3 weeks of the season. But they have a chance to really keep improving each week and be right in those games at the end of the year. But Yeah, I like the way the Olympians are playing.
So you look after that. I think you got to look at two teams that are going to match up next week. So we'll talk more about the matchup. But
Yeah.
Marion and Blue Mountain.
Yeah.
I think we would agree that after that second tier, you're looking at those two teams next.
And I would put Tamaqua right below that, like right there. Like if Tamaqua gets on a roll, I could put them right in that.
I agree. I think Tamaqua actually. I think you could put them in.
Yeah.
You can put them right. At 1 point loss to Thorpe. North Schuylkill opening night losing their freshman quarterback. What do you think, Coop?
Yeah, and we're sitting here looking at Monterey area too at 3-1. We're not really mentioning them, but we're not really sure yet. Kind of jury's still out of those.
Yeah.
Monterey area. We saw them get blown up the field in week 1. Obviously had a lot of mistakes. Then they came back with some big wins. The signature win over Schuylkill Haven.
But thought was a signature.
Right. Yeah. Now we're
I think
Schuylkill Haven is.
Yeah.
I think that you're looking at your next tier there. I think with Monterey and Haven.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're the next tier there, and I think both those teams are dangerous.
Sure. Then we expect Monterey to win to go against Minersville and kind of flex their muscle a little bit, and they get in a dogfight with Minersville, and wasn't for a few Minersville turnovers, that game could have had a different outcome. So, yeah, so Monterey area, Schuylkill Haven, definitely agree they would be the next tier, and kind of the question mark team still of where they're going and where they're going to be at.
So then we got Minersville, Shenandoah, Panther Valley. PV gets the first win against Shenandoah.
Yep.
Obviously they're looking to build on that. They got some big games coming up. Some
Yes.
Some big rivals. I think one big win can move them up a tier.
Yeah.
And Minersville, Shenandoah. Let's face it, those kids got to be excited for this week.
Oh, yeah.
Both of those teams. Somebody's coming away with win number
Someone's
one.
going to win.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. I think, especially in that second tier. There's going to be a lot of really good games. When you start looking at when all these teams in the middle of the pack and start lining up over the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Hardcore performers. We had a lot of nice performances this week. We're taking a look at some different guys, maybe some guys that we didn't have yet or talk about too much. So, what do you got, Brad?
I'm going to see the guy I saw play, and what a game he had, John Rapinski. 30 carries, 304 yards, 5 TDs. That's pretty impressive.
That's about as good as it gets.
They've been kind of he's kind of been their signature back. They give him the ball more than Major Jordan's kind of been their pounder, and he's kind of been their steady guy. But I'll tell you what, this guy is as good as their line was last week. Still, once he got into the second tier, the defense and linebackers, D-backs, he was making people miss. He was going after contact. He was getting hit. Making moves. He's showing some speed. He's just exactly what you want in a workhorse back. You know what I mean? He can give him the ball, 30 times, 304 yards. That's a lot of carries. Not only a lot of carries, but a lot of ground that he covered. You know what I mean?
That's
3 football fields.
Yeah.
And after the game was over and I was talking to him, interviewing, he's like, I feel like I can run a mile right now. And I was like, wow. It's good for you, buddy. You know what I mean? So.
That's
More,
an out.
more importantly, after the game was over, did you go to Black Diamond for wings?
I actually left work early and went to the Black Diamond and had wings at 4:30.
Okay.
And they were amazing.
So if anybody's unaware, if the team's going to North Schuylkill, go to the Black Diamond for some wings. And I'm actually very disappointed that we didn't mention last week the Lehighton crew going up to Blue Mountain should have stopped at McKeensburg. They got some wings on their way out.
Exactly.
They might not know it. They're a little bit of a different route for them than their usual. But we got to start doing a better job of mentioning it.
Yeah, and also speaking of Blue Mountain, a shout out to the staff there. They treat us so well when we go up there, or when we go down to Blue Mountain, and halftime they bring us food and take care of us, and we're in the press box up there. So, we had a great time at Blue Mountain last week. We always do, and they do a great job there. So. That Rapinski, that's an Al Bundy like performance.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns, 300 yards.
Yeah,
That's
it
impressive.
is. Yes, it is. Oh my God, that's funny.
All right, my hardcore performer of the week. We're gonna go with Tyler Skripko, the fullback from Tamaqua Blue Raiders. 3 touchdown runs. He ran 19 times for 96 yards, including the game winner in overtime. And didn't know this until I read the paper, but Coach Bonner said that during the timeout he actually called his own number. He said, "Hey, Coach, I noticed this is opening up over here. Get me the ball. I can get in." You love a kid like that on your football team that wants the ball in those crunch times. Bud Moyer also had a great game, but for this week we're going to go Tyler Scripps 3 touchdowns. The game winner in overtime is my hard cold player of the week.
Yeah, good call. When he wasn't scoring touchdowns and gaining yards, he was opening up holes and doing a great job on the defensive end as well. My hardcore performer I got to see this week, I'm going to go with Matty Iceberg, Matty Hudicka from Panther Valley, making his first start at quarterback. 8 carries for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. Also 7-12 passing, over 100 yards passing with another touchdown. And these Panther Valley to their first win of the season, and to Coach Davis's first win of his coaching career. So I'm going with Matty Iceberg as my hard cold performer of the week. So that's our wrap for all of the Week 4 action. We're going to take a quick break, come back. We're going to talk about all the upcoming Week 5 games. Also take a little bit of a look at the district rankings and where these teams line up now as we speak.